God told Noah it was going to rain. He didn't tell him the whole plan. He didn't tell him that he had water up under the earth, that he was going to break up the cisterns of the deep. Yeah. And I think it's important for us as believers to know that God has resources in unexpected places. And when he gets ready to flood you, it's not just the flood that you anticipate coming down from above. He can break up the cisterns of the deep.
Yeah. Wilderness experiences are either going to kill you or they're going to make you better.
Right.
Okay? Let me just say something. You look sharp today.
Amazing.
Okay? So if you had to go through this pandemic and come out looking sharp, look, you took advantage of whatever situation you were dealt, and really that's what we're talking about. You can go into a wilderness and die, or you can go into a wilderness and meet God, okay? So I feel like that's what I took away from your book, and I want to hear what you want us to know about it too.
I want to dig a little bit deeper because there are a lot of people that look sharp that don't feel sharp.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
It is much easier to go out and look sharp than it is to be sharp, to feel sharp, to have emotional well-being, to be intellectually sound, especially in the kind of wilderness that we are in right now.
Yeah.
This is not a geographical wilderness where we know the linear footage of how far it is before we get out of it. It is the uncertainty and living with the ambiguity of an end that leads us into a wilderness, whether you are living in a mansion or living in a trailer on top of a hill. We are all experiencing the same trauma the same way. What I want people to understand is that when you cannot draw strength, peace, well-being from around you, you must draw it from within you. And so as opposed to the water in the rock, you have to have the water in your soul. Woman, if you believe on me, as the scriptures have said, out of your belly, not your house, not your job, not your country, not your newspaper, not your community, but out of your own essence shall flow rivers of living water. So in essence, the human soul becomes the rock in the wilderness. And the rock, there was nothing special about the rock. It was the God who is living water flowed through the rock. And there's nothing special about me, but the God who is living water flows through me if I allow him to. If not, I allow my circumstances around me to penetrate what's within me until the dryness around me becomes the dryness within me.
You know, I love
you, man.
I know. I love this time.
I love y'all.
Sacred,
It's
holy, beautiful moment every time that we sit down with you. But that reminds me of and today, Liz, I was listening to this morning, and you were talking about when the flood came. Well, I've read that so many times, but you said that it wasn't only the water coming down, the rain coming down, but it came out of the ground.
Yes, yes.
And that reminds me of what happened in Noah's day. It came up out of the ground, out of the belly.
Yes.
You know?
You know what I love about that is that when God told Noah it was going to rain, he didn't tell him the whole plan. He didn't tell him that he had water up under the earth, that he was going to break up the cisterns of the deep. Yeah. And I think it's important for us as believers to know that God has resources in unexpected places. And when he gets ready to flood you, it's not just the flood that you anticipate coming down from above. He can break up the cisterns of the deep.
Yeah.
And in order to submerge the earth beneath the water, there were hidden wells of water that he tapped into. And that's still true. Anybody who dug a well knows there's water underground. For God to break up the water under the ground is a very important thing. I was in Africa, and we dig wells for indigenous people who have no water. I've done it for years and years and years and years. And it's amazing how many people die with water under their feet, never being able to tap into it. And if you take the horrific atrocity of what it is like for a human soul to die in the wilderness with a parched mouth and dry lips and eyes roll back in their head and give up the ghost, for the lack of something that is buried right up under their feet. God has blessings and provisions in places that we never anticipated. And I think the whole concept of God's provision is that it comes from the unexpected.
Yeah.
Woman, what is in thy house? Ah, nothing. I got a pot of oil. He says, go borrow a bunch of vessels. Your nothing is something.
Empty vessel.
Yeah.
Bring your emptiness.
Bring your emptiness.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fill it up
Yeah.
with what you've been calling nothing, because I'm going to cause something to come out of your nothing. Yeah. And that's the majesty of God himself, that he can take the ordinary, that which we have passed over, and bring something substantive out of it. So God's provision is not always about a rich uncle dying or about somebody knocking on your door and you're the lucky winner of whatever. It is rethinking what you've been walking past.
Wow.
And understand that that pot of oil could be more than what you thought it was if you would bring God into it.
Okay. Do you agree with the statement that you're an esoteric thinker?
Yes, pretty much.
Okay. I had to look that word up earlier today to make sure that I was, yeah. And I consider myself more of a linear thinker, okay? And so when I read this book, God's Provision, you know, I'm wondering if the word wilderness should have been in the title, okay? Just for me, simplistic linear thinkers kind of want to know, because God's provision for your every need, okay, is almost like a hidden title, because what you're talking about is where the provision is. The provision is sometimes in the place that you're cursing and wanting to get out of, okay?
Yes.
So if you want TD Jakes to walk you through the problem that you're facing, or the problem you think you're facing, or the reality of the problem you're facing, go to the number and get the book. This is profound in a lot of ways. And the idea that you're telling me in this book, okay, I'm just telling you what I got out of it. I got out of this, you're in a test, you're in a wilderness experience. We're using that as an analogy, right? And God will meet you there to kill the things that you need killed in your life, provide for you the things that you need in your life, or you will really basically give up, wither. I think you said something to the effect of it separates the fakers from the something. I don't remember exactly how you say it in the book, but some people give up in the wilderness, in the place where God is trying to provide provision. Is that roughly what we're discussing today?
Yes. Let's go back to, let's rewind all the way back to
Let's
why
go.
I didn't put wilderness on the cover. It's the same reason that Tylenol doesn't put headache as its logo.
Okay.
You never put the problem on the cover because nobody's going to
Nobody's
reach
going to
out.
buy it.
Good point. I like you even more now.
Yeah,
Okay,
you know,
good.
put cancer on the cover instead of
The
chemo.
answer.
How to
You know,
self-sacrifice.
you know, give me 5 bottles of cancer. You know, so who's going to go to the store and say, "Give me a lot of wilderness"? We do not ask for our wilderness.
Oh.
Our wilderness asks for us. We do not get to choose the kinds of wilderness that we face, whether we're single mothers or going through a divorce, or whether we've lost a job or house, or whether we find ourselves with some sort of disease. We do not get to pick the wilderness that we confront. That is the mystery of life. We do not know it until we're in it. What we do know is that God will be in it with us. And so when you start talking about God's promises and God's answers in our wilderness, that is the stable, known fact, and it is the commodity that you would reach for in the store. We don't reach for trouble, but trouble reaches for us.
At TBN, our mission is to use every available means to reach as many individuals and families as possible with the life-changing gospel of Jesus Christ.
Thank you for helping make the gospel of grace go around the world.
Without you, we couldn't do it. God bless you.